Hello, I'm attorney Tammy Saltzman, and you are watching Divorce Connection Network. And today I am here with Dr. Laura Richter. She is in charge of the Recreational Consultants Group.
Relational Consultants Group.
Relational Consultants
I
Group.
would like it to be more about recreation. That would be fun.
Did I say recreation? Oh my
That's
God.
okay.
That's so funny. Anyway, so she is in private practice. She helps couples who are contemplating divorce. She believes, and may I quote you, divorce should be a last resort. And that is my kind of counselor. I believe, even as a divorce attorney, divorce should be your last resort. So once a couple is decided that divorce is inevitable, your passion is to help women who are going through transition.
Okay.
And so today we're going to talk about that. This is mostly directed for women who are going through this divorce transition, or if you happen to know a woman who could benefit from what Laura has to offer, that would be really great. So tell us about how you help women who are in any step of the process, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How do you help them go through this transition? Life-changing transition.
Yeah. Well, let me, if I could, first begin by saying the reason that I do it for women versus men is that men and women go through the divorce process typically very differently. Men are fixers. They're hunters, they're gatherers. They'll get into this mode of, let me go out and do something. Let me fix this. Let me move on. Whereas women are more contemplative. They're more reflective. They want to understand why. They want to connect emotionally with, if it can't be their partner, who in a lot of cases, even if it's been a really bad marriage, has been their best friend. It's been what they've known all these years. So the reason I do the women's groups, I would love to do men's groups as well, is because it's just more of an effective process for them. You know, research shows that that support is one of the biggest, hugest elements of being able to heal. And so in these groups, that's the first thing that at least I begin to notice, is that these women begin to feel connected. They begin to make some kind of an emotional bond, and the bond is that they're all going through the same thing. Even though they may be going through it in different ways, they're all experiencing the same thing.
And they don't feel so alone because they're in a group, and the group meets weekly, right?
Once a week, yes.
Once a week. So the group meets weekly, and when you get there, it's almost like you're with your sisters.
Exactly.
And it's like family. It's like an extended family, I would imagine, because you're sharing intimate secrets with each other about your marriage. And it's a healing process, because I think when you can identify with someone else who can empathize, and empathy is different than sympathy. Empathy is feeling what another person feels,
Sure.
having experienced it yourself.
Right, and that's one of the things that, it's not a surprise to me, but I take a lot of pride in, is that these women are so compassionate and so empathetic towards each other and so mutual and so respectful, even in the midst of all of this feeling that they're having. And they cry and they laugh, and it's
And
just,
they hug
it's
each
a
other.
process. They hug each other. They hug each other actually physically, and they
Yeah.
hug each other emotionally.
You know, I think hugs are healing, and crying is very healing.
Very healing.
And sometimes you need to release the emotion in order to balance yourself.
Absolutely, and that's what's so, I think, important in having women, even if you're just beginning the process, is to do this, is because that release, that ability, one of the things that we talk about is how do you manage your feelings? Well, you don't manage your feelings by pushing them away. You manage your feelings by accepting that you're going to have them and finding ways to move through them. So that's a big piece of this. Another big piece of it is being able to even begin to think about, how do I recreate a life? And so what I try to help them understand is, I call them my amazing women, because they are all amazing. They're strong, and they have resources within themselves that they don't even realize that they have. I had one woman come in and tell me her story, and she had 2 children, and it was a very sad story. Her husband just kind of abandoned them financially, emotionally, everything, and so her daughter had issues, And I said to her at one point, do you realize how strong you are and how courageous you are? And she looked at me like, I never thought of myself that way. Never in a million years would I think that I am.
Just having a baby to me is courageous.
Exactly.
And raising children, I think, is brave.
Right. And it does take a lot of courage and bravery to
Yes.
go through something like this, because it's a huge transition for everyone. And, even if it was your choice, it's a huge transition. It's a difference. And, you really need, I think, assistance, support, and guidance in going through that.
I have a friend, I didn't join a group when I got divorced, but a friend of mine had gotten separated about a year before me. And she called me every morning. And
You're a good friend.
And we spoke every morning, and she repeated the same thing every single day. And every single day I said, and I agreed with her, and we, and I just listened. And some days she just cried, and some days she just screamed. But she was one of my closest friends. And a year later, when I went through my separation, she was there for me, and I would call her every morning, and I would cry to her, and it's interesting that even though one person may want the divorce, you still grieve.
Of course.
It was no mistake that I was getting a divorce. It wasn't like my husband walked out the door and said, "See ya." It was a mutual decision to get divorced. And yet I still went through the grieving process, the fear, the anxiety, all the things that every woman experiences. It doesn't matter where you are in life, how old you are in life, what you do for a living. It's all the same emotions, the abandonment, the letting go of the dreams that you had, the mountain house, the log cabin, the grandchildren all around a fire playing Scrabble. These are some of my dreams that I had that no longer exist. Those dreams are gone, and now you have to create new dreams and new goals and new family supports. It's difficult even for the strongest of women.
Of course. And actually what you may be grieving for is not necessarily that person, that partner that you've had, but as Tammy says, it's the grieving about what you thought would be, what your expectations and hopes were for the rest of your life. I mean, I hear a lot of women say, never in a million years did I think that I would be here. How did I get here?
Exactly.
So it's quite a process. It's the shock, and then it's the sadness, and figuring out how to manage the feelings, and then, okay, my life is going to be different. Whether you're wealthy or not, even if you're wealthy, how do I manage now the money that I've never had to manage before? If you're not, maybe you have to go out and get a job, and that's very scary. And so what we work towards is dealing with these feelings and finding a way to accept that here's where you are, and now how do we move forward? That's a huge piece of it. And another huge piece of it is the parenting issues.
Yes, and they're ongoing 4 years later, and they're still ongoing, yes.
And so many of the women that participate in these groups are women who have experienced betrayal of some kind.
Yes, that's the hardest. When a spouse cheats, it is debilitating to your self-esteem.
Of course, it is. And you get angry, and you feel betrayed. But a lot of these women, all of them are great moms, and they want to be there for their children. But it's really difficult to balance, I want to do what's right for my kids versus I want to do what's right for me. I want to vent. I want to tell you what a horrible person he is. I want you to know that. Well, no, you can't do that.
No, you can't do that. And you need to, it's, when you cry, you should not even really try to not cry in front of your children, because the kids they then feel like they have to protect you. And you don't want your children to have that type of responsibility. You don't want your children worrying about you. They have enough to worry about.
That's a really good point, because the children that fare the best are the ones that really can still rely on their parents and know that even though they may have decided to split up, there's a stable foundation. Their parents are okay, and so thus they're going to be okay.
I have found that, just never, I try to promote a healthy relationship between my son and his dad. I feel that that is very important, and I also go out of my way to try to be nice to his dad and to his girlfriend and include them, and I want my son to see me making that effort, because every day that he grows up, he gets it more and more.
Sure.
Who is the one being nice? Who is the one extending the invite? Who is the one, trying to get along? And he's very well aware. And so kids, you don't have to tell your kids your spouse is bad, because
That is so true.
they are going to figure it out
They will.
all by themselves. You're going to be one day in the kitchen listening, and they're going to say something, and you're going to be like, oh my God, and you're not even going to believe that they have this preconceived notion. So I want to thank you for coming on the show.
It's my pleasure. I'm so happy to be here.
Any women out there that are interested in a group, please contact us at divorceconnectionnetwork.com. You can email me at tammy@divorceconnection.com, and you can find Dr. Laura's contact information on our website, most importantly, so that you can find out more about her group and you can start to heal in the process of your divorce. We wish you only good things in the future. Thanks for watching.